Welcome to Military Comebacks. Today, I want to share a story that lifts you above the clouds, where bravery isn't measured by rank or medals, but by the steady heartbeat of one woman whose hidden past changed the fate of everyone on board. It began on a calm morning high above the Indian Ocean, inside a roaring C-130 Hercules. A team of Navy SEALs sat in silence, faces shadowed by helmets, minds locked on the mission ahead. Below them waited chaos, a covert rescue deep inside hostile territory, where time was the enemy. Among the team was a young woman in a gray flight suit, sleeves smudged with grease, a toolkit strapped tightly to her leg. Lieutenant Emily Carter was the flight engineer, the one responsible for keeping the aircraft alive when everything tried to tear it apart. To most, she was just the quiet engineer, soft-spoken, focused, fixing problems without asking for attention. No one knew she had once walked the same dangerous path as the men beside her. The aircraft suddenly shuddered. Engines screamed like wounded beasts as lightning ripped through the sky. The pilot's voice cracked over the comms. "Engine 2 is losing power. We're going down." Emily's eyes flew across the gauge's rising temperatures, dropping oil pressure. "I need 5 minutes," she shouted, already unbuckling her harness. "We don't have 5 minutes," Commander Harris yelled back. Emily didn't answer. She charged down the cabin as tools skidded across the floor. The plane shook violently as she tore open a panel, sparks flashing above her head. "Stay strapped in," the pilot shouted. "I'm not letting this bird fall," she fired back, her voice trembling but unbreakable. The SEALs watched in stunned silence as lightning lit her face through the open hatch. Calm, focused, fearless. Her hands moved with practiced precision, manually adjusting fuel flow, rerouting. Hydraulics like muscle memory guiding every motion. "Who trained her?" one SEAL whispered. Harris said nothing. He had seen courage under fire, but never like this. Emily's hand slipped, slicing her palm. Blood ran down her wrist. She grimaced, wrapped it with tape, and kept working. Moments later, the engine thundered back to life. The alarms went silent. The aircraft leveled out. "She did it," the pilot breathed. Emily crawled back to her seat, exhausted, oil and sweat streaking her face. She gave a simple thumbs up before collapsing into her harness. "You just saved 12 lives, Harris said quietly. "That wasn't just engineering." She smiled, faintly. "Old habits die hard, sir." That night, during a refueling stop delayed by the storm, the truth surfaced. While the SEALs cleaned weapons and studied maps, Emily sat alone near the landing gear, staring into the darkness. Harris joined her, handing over a cup of instant coffee. "You don't say much," he said. "Machines listen better than people," she replied. "What you did up there wasn't luck," Harris continued. "That kind of precision comes from real combat." Lightning flashed, revealing a weight in her eyes she could no longer hide. "I wasn't always an engineer," she finally said. "I was embedded with SEAL Team 6, aircraft repairs, extractions, emergency fixes under fire. Sometimes even covering ground when things went wrong." Harris stared. "So you were one of us." "I was," she whispered. "Until Kandahar. My team didn't make it out. I blamed myself. I chose the sky so I'd never have to touch the ground again." Rain fell softly as silence settled between them. At dawn, the mission resumed. The aircraft flew low over hostile desert terrain, toward an enemy camp holding to hostages. Suddenly, anti-aircraft fire tore through the sky. The plane jolted violently. "We've lost altitude control," the pilot shouted. "Not yet," Emily said, already moving. "Hold us steady for 60 seconds. "Emily, no," Harris yelled. She ignored him, clipping herself to the safety line and crawling toward the damaged section as bullets ripped past the fuselage. Fuel fumes filled the air. She patched a shattered hydraulic line with torn fabric from her own uniform and manually engaged a backup pump. "Try it now," her strained voice came through the intercom. The aircraft lifted. Cheers erupted, then an explosion rocked the left wing. Emily was thrown back into the cabin. The SEALs dragged her from the smoke. "Stay with us," Harris shouted. Blood trickled down her face as she whispered, "Don't let the mission fail." Minutes later, the SEALs hit the ground and completed the rescue while medics fought to stabilize Emily. When the aircraft returned to base hours later, the hostages were safe, and the battered C-130 still flew. "You saved us all," the pilot told her twice. Harris knelt beside her stretcher. "Why come with us when you could have stayed behind?" Her eyes fluttered open. "I owed the ones I couldn't save." "You saved 12 more today," he said. "They'd be proud." For the first time in years, she smiled through tears. "Maybe now I can fly in peace." Weeks later, Emily was awarded the Distinguished Flying Cross for extraordinary heroism. She never spoke about it. She returned quietly to her post, mentoring young engineers, teaching them that courage isn't always loud. It lives in the moments when you refuse to quit. Sometimes late at night, she would walk into the hangar place, her hand on the scarred C-130, and whisper, "We made it." Among the SEALs, her story became legend. The engineer who repaired an aircraft midair, who faced death twice without hesitation, who carried both wrench and weapon with equal resolve. Her name rarely appeared in reports, but every SEAL who flew after that mission knew the truth. Behind every flight, there is someone like Emily saving lives long before anyone realizes they are in danger. So the next time you see a plane cutting through a storm, remember her. Remember that the bravest hearts often beat quietly beneath the roar of engines and war. Thank you for watching. If this story moved you, like, comment, and subscribe. More stories of courage are waiting here on Military Comebacks.